for illumined life to be birthed into form. I am the truth. I am the light. Illumined, beloved divine.
So hello there everyone and welcome. In this video today, I want to take you a little deeper into the journey of illumined union. As you know, I've been talking about this for quite a while, and I still see that in bare naked fact, not a lot of people are ready for these very simple and yet profound truths that the journey of illumined union has. So as you know, I've been doing this work very intensely since this year. I've started this work on Patreon called Ascension, and in the group we've gone very deep and I've channeled quite some profound things since this year began, and it's just been such a hell of a ride. And the Mother of Life has been pushing us through this gateway, and now we find ourselves in this what we call almost like the birthing canal for illumined union. First it was an opening, there was a doorway, then it was a portal, and now it's actually literally a birthing canal. And still in this light community or light worker community, people don't understand the journey and the true undertaking of that which we call the light and the dark as one. The journey of this beautiful interplay of polarities and what it actually takes and what it actually requires of us to truly be ascended beings, because there is still so much lies and false information and false teachings that people are receiving about the true nature of how we actually become an ascended being, an illumined being. So as you know, in this modern new age world, there was so much covered up. Everything was basically one big cover up, and people were hiding and still are finding difficult or hardships in terms of accessing truth and accessing that which is truly liberating them on the path of physical ascension. And there was so much focus on the work to move towards the light and being a light worker, and although there's nothing absolutely wrong with that, because there are beings who are simply here to shine the light. And as actually just recently one of my beautiful group members stated, that to be only in the light means to bear the cross. And when you bear that cross, you actually will always experience resistance from the world, from the status quo, from the so-called matrix. It's just how reality is made. It is once you move deep into the womb work, the womb of life, the pillar of life, the giving mother, the mother that is the so-called giver of life. And I've recently channeled 2 of her sacred songs, which you can find on my page, Serapina Light, under the section called Holy Spirit. There's other gifts there as well. But let me move on with this sharing today. As I say that so much has been covering up the true path towards ascension, and I believe the Mother wanted me to establish the pathway for those who truly wish to move into the illumined gateway and embody illumined union, which is a cosmic union. It's not just a union of our inner masculine and feminine, or an outer masculine feminine, which appears to be a sacred partnership of 2 people coming together. That is, of course, a natural reflective state that comes about. However, there is a deeper convergence taking place here, and it's almost like 2 spirals colliding, which is the light and the dark. And I've just posted this drawing that this gateway now moves us towards, which is that pulse of life received and embodied within the womb. And not a lot of people are doing this deep womb of life work because simply they have been sugar coated. They have been veiled with all the false light teachings, which only work to a certain extent and to a certain degree, and they actually persist with hardships on our path. Because until you truly embrace the dark womb and understand the meaning of darkness, that darkness is not in fact what was presented to us to be, it's not evil, it is simply a dark portal It is a portal of, that which leads deep into our core, that which connects us to that which is essential and born of our essence. And without that, there is no life-giving. And that is why so many people, especially in the New Age community, are having such difficulties with manifesting things in the physical sense, because they're simply staying in the light. And there is this belief now that you need more light, you need more understanding, you need more teaching before you can move on, before you can actually establish yourself and become enlightened. And that, in truth, is only half truth. It's not really the whole picture. And those of us who have actually gone through this journey so many times, we know what we're talking about, because we've literally been walking this path of the so-called illumined descent. And the mission of my team, which is the group that works and operates through me, this is not just a solo work, because no individual can do that job alone. It's not a work for one person. It is the group energy dynamics that moves through you. And I always say they or us, we do that through the vessel that is me. It's just an extension, it's just an embodiment. But it is a group energy of synthesis and deep correlation of, embodying our galactic Christ. This is not just a personal Christ, which is represented to us as having certain virtues, and then you are of the Christ. This is literally what we've been channeling and talking about in the group, the synthesis and the joining of the silver and the gold, and moving into the next octave, the next elixir of life in our galactic embodiment. So those of you who have been pursuing this higher path, perhaps you were taken through certain steps and requirements, and yet this journey of what the Divine Mother Goddess has been showing me and wanting to move through me as well, as one of her descendants in the form, she was just telling me, she said, she came to me in the dream time this week, and she said, it's really time now. You have to move through the illumined gateway, the gateway of illumined union. She said, it's time. And for us as humans, we always wonder, well, what does that mean? What do we have to do? And in truth, it's nothing like that. It's just being ready, being aware of what that is, embracing the giver of life perspective, knowing that without that, there is no birth. We cannot birth the next stage of our evolutionary journey, the next octave of our bodies vibrating at a certain higher frequency. The frequency is not moving upwards. The frequency is bringing that and those light codes in the body. But even that is not enough, because they have to synthesize in the womb portal, so that you have the crown, the heart, and the womb portal as one. So that's the root. So there's so many teachings which some of them are good, some of them are profound, some of them are too complex for people to understand, so usually they walk astray. And yet there's also a synthesis available. And my work establishment has been about making this journey simple, and to simplify it, and to channel the sort of activations that get people, like an arrow shooting straight, not wavering like this, okay, and causing just more obstruction in a way. So this is something very natural to us, and yet because there was such a false light seated here in order to misguide and mislead people, which is not what a lot of people talk about nowadays, as you know, it's not a easy or a light subject in truth, but it's what needs to be addressed. And I've been addressing this whole, inception since such a long time. And now, instead of this false inception, those of us who are going first, who are forerunners of the illumined union process, we're actually birthing a new conception point. This point of conception will be almost like what was channeled today, this new blood work, the new blood code that is just a continuation of the avatars of the illumined age that began this work in, the beginning of the Piscean, which, I talk about in my Lumen Gateway. I have that available on my page in the Beloved section as well, which was the workings of Joshua and Mary Magdalene. And it's just being continued now. It hasn't occurred this way before. It is new, so it's moving into the next octave. And I don't want to go too deeply into it, because this work on YouTube is so public and people have a lot of misunderstanding about my words. It's been my practice and it's been my experience that you can say the deepest and most profound truths and people will still interpret them through their own filters. And that is one of the main reasons why I was called and directed through the Mother Goddess, the giver of life, to create this sacred space on Patreon for a group of devotees who really understand. And although people always come and go, because not everyone is always willing to go the whole stream and the full steam ahead, some people will stop or withdraw, and then, it's all fine. I understand wherever everyone is, they are. But if you ever feel the calling this year, I feel the template has been laid. That's the message that came through. Was the seal was there. I've channeled so much material. I've almost like outrun myself. I've outdone myself, figuratively and literally speaking. And it's been quite a journey. It's been very profound for me. And now with this Scorpio Full Moon gateway, which is a Vesic moon as well, it's really that gateway in a nutshell. It's like a synthesis of that, which, it's getting narrower and narrower. But at the same time, once you get to the narrowest point of that squeeze, the galactic squeeze, it's, it's like birth, and then it opens up. And so one of the reasons I've been asking today why some of us have felt such oppression and such hardship is because literally the illumined light, the light that descends into the most murky realms, that which is still of the shadow, that's hidden, that's lifeless. It's how illumined mission operates, and that's my team and what we do here on this planet. We bring the light of illumination to the worlds of creation, which means the light needs to move to the deepest recesses of not just the human psyche, but actually everything that's been covered up in the human template, so that the template can be resurrected. Not just one being. This is not just individual ascension. Well, one or maybe two or three people ascend to the highest level. This is literally resurrecting the ascension template, the spiraling ascension template, the spiral of ascension and cosmic union, which occurs through that cosmic convergence point. The galactic masculine, galactic feminine Christ and masculine Christ as one, so that truly one they shall become. That's this next step. And if you felt the calling, but you feel like you lack either motivation or drive, or you've always felt there's something more to life, then you're definitely truly welcome in our group. It's a beautiful space. It's also a community space where people can share their own inspirations and aspirations. I don't know, whatever suits you. But I really feel this time now is like a pull. There's a strong calling. There's a strong pull towards that destination, because a lot of us have been actively working to, get that portal open. So there's that maze which was almost like locked around it. So it was difficult for people to find that point of their own convergence and get to the truth, because there's still so much lies out there, and it almost pains me to see all that, but it is what it is. It's a plate, and everyone must find their way through the maze, as you well know. And you can have as many illumined beings here doing their work, and still the work remains at the individual level just as well for people to walk through and actually commit to. So this is a work of deep devotion. This is not something you either choose for a month and then you don't. It's a lifetime pursuit, because those of us who are working with the multidimensional ascension engagement or involvement on this planet, our job never ceases to end. So we go and experience sometimes what I call the deepest points of, that twist. The twisting points is what I was just shown this week, but in my own mission, it was like that I have to go and feel. It's like I literally jump in. I jump in this fog. I jump in this darkness where there's no life. And in order for life to be brought to that point, you need to go to almost like what Spirit called the edge of despair, the edge of that darkness. And you look on the other side, and then you bring the spiraling life force energy there again. You reactivate it. You reactivate the spin, and it lifts and it moves further up. So these are maybe what feel like to be complex things or topics for some people, but when you do this work, it comes naturally to you. So even with my work with Illumined Ascension, everyone can join at their own level. That's one of the reasons why I also created the 3 levels and 3 stages, because the first one is, I think, more focused on the personal ascension. The second one is more about this illumined union, and the third one is really that galactic masterful level, which is presented at the higher investment or involvement within the greater grand design that includes divine plans for many, interlocking points within this multidimensional convergence, and different parallel ascensions that are occurring simultaneously, because it's it's just not one. It's much more complex. So the reason why so many of us are here and yet we feel a lot of stagnant energy right now building up is because we need to be, and we've said yes, and we've agreed to this mission and assignment, although at times it feels so lifeless because we feel the collective energy. And we're bringing that pulse of life back, because the true mission of Illumined Union is to bring the galactic pulse of life to the galactic pulse of the womb, which makes this life alive, that writes the code for the human template, for the human genome, and all of that, which is included, okay? So that's why this is so important. It's not just reaching the state of the crown and merging with all that is and the absolute. You know, that's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to create life within templates and eventually learn how to create these templates. And once you become a master of the pulse of life, you get to write templates yourself. But that's, you know, that's a more advanced topic, which we don't want to go into today. So, my beloveds, you're welcome, and you're very much desired to open up to this greater possibility of Illumined Union and feel the call of the Mother of Life. One of my latest channeling was about serving the Divine Mother Goddess, the giver of life. And we did a beautiful group activation and meditation as well. And take this time of the Scorpio moon to really go deep. This is not just about the shadow of your own nature. There's literally such huge oppression taking hold, you know, trying to keep lock this womb of Gaia even, right? So we have to unlock our own womb potential, then merge our life force with the planetary life force, and then there's other levels of advancements here that are really moving us forward to the next step. I also, as you know, will be doing the Divine Trinity of Life course package. I'm already doing it, but there's the last part coming out on Patreon next month, and simultaneously the Cosmic Ray Mastery for anchoring and walking as this true pillar embodiment here on the planet. It's going to come simultaneously, and as it comes out on Patreon, this will also be available here to individually get for its energy exchange for those of you who are not on Patreon with me. So yeah, this is such an intense time indeed, and I'm taking this time to actually cultivate this next step, this next level of the journey. So I'm actually retreating myself. I'm going off the radar for a while to truly bring that to the physical part, because this takes so much energy. And as you can see, planetary wise, there's a huge plan to override the solar codes to kind of hide the sun, and still so many people fear the sun and getting sunburned, and the sun is so strong. Well, they're actually showing me, my team is showing me, that a lot of what is happening now is also a result because so many people feared the sun, because that's an inception, it's a program within the false matrix design. So with that fear comes more of that. People fear the sun, they think it's good, you know, and it just helps this. If less people actually feared the sun and understood how it feeds our body with light codes, and not just getting it through the crown and the skin, but also literally our reproductive organs and those of us who are feminine through our womb. It's very important. This is so important. There is not a coincidence that the word union resounds with the word yoni, right? Yoni, union. It's all not a coincidence. It's all a galactic story unfolding. And it's time to return this greater cosmic knowledge, this knowing, first to ourselves, then to those who are interested in our circles, and then to expand these circles of life to manifest the Divine Mother's plan. And always remember, keep that in mind, that, you know, everything, all life can become this greater prayer, but not in the head only. It's just like to embody, to walk that embodied prayer, and to always have in mind that, you know, when I commune every day with the great Mother of Life, I always say, take that of mine, which is mine, and replace it with thine. So it's like a greater life component and essence actually that I'm serving. So that's also very important. So yes, it is very important at this time to wake up to these things. It is very important to not just be alive, but to give constantly birth to life. And those of us who are givers of life in that sense, that's what we do. But it's a birth that occurs through the essence level, and it activates the seal of creation at such profound new levels. So what is also new is that due to this intensity and coming closer to the portal itself, there is more oppression with that, you know, because the status quo does not, of course, want that to occur. So the deeper we go, like I said, it feels more narrow and squeezed in and oppressed. But today's guidance was the motivation behind this is the drive to learn to know more. So even if you are, let's say, the most advanced being, you still have lots to learn on this planet. How to stay with that conviction, how to stay with the mission, even though there's so much oppression. That's really something that blows my mind every time. Like, how deep can you go? And in my own journey, I never fall, even when I go and I come to that very edge of that despair, which is that collective energy you're feeling and you're taking in, you're like literally digesting it, your field, through your body, and so much life force goes into that. And I never fall. There's always that resurrected self that moves me back upwards, and the next moment I shift, and then it turns and I feel the spiral moving again. So the mission of a creation pillar is truly to create life out of that which is stagnant, and it's death, because it doesn't have the organic template of life. It's not based on the immaculate design. So it's like you're resurrecting each point of that, which the group does through you. You're getting these assignments, and that's kind of like how my journey was. And don't also forget that because of this, right, oppression, and we're not getting as much sunlight, and the weather is being controlled vastly all over the planet. We've been having something like a mini ice age, as you can see here as well. And sometimes I dance here and I invoke the sun, and it comes out. Sometimes it's more difficult, it's more challenging. But Spirit has been telling me that due to this, and because we cannot feed that directly because it's being hidden from us, we're needing to learn to work more with the cosmic rays because of that. So we're getting maybe less of the solar energy coming in, and we're getting more of that cosmic ray support. So that's one of the reasons why I'm also doing the Cosmic Ray Mastery course as an addition, as a bonus to that 3+1 course package, which will be available on my page as well very soon. I'll let you know when it is. And also Spirit is saying we are needing to learn to be more reserved with our life force, what we feed it, because we each get a certain amount a day of how much, like, literally energy we're using. And if we're already over abusing it, there won't be much left for higher functions. So if we lose everything on lower or lesser degrees of life, there won't be much left for higher functions of life. So we need to be more conserving, right? And really discerning what we give our life force to, because times are intense. Because when you have a higher understanding of what's happening, and you're in constant communion with Spirit, and they're showing you this, you're knowing that it's very important. So in my example, I can give you one example. I used to be much more active in terms of being sporty and outdoors, always moving, and now they're guiding me to be like more efficient with the way I use my life force, because it's being used for these higher processes. So it's kind of like, again, a training skill building process, and it's something of a nature that every master of self and life force has to go through. So these are some of the things that I wanted to share. I'm going off the radar for a while now. Wish me luck with all that's coming, and I wish you the best just as well, because my intention is always to selflessly serve the law of creation in its own illumined design, because there's many missions, but they're not all what I would call without an agenda. Okay, so make sure that that which is the pursuit of the higher is also bringing you closer to illumination, and pray for that. Ask the life-giving mother to show you signs that you are getting closer into illumined union. And what Spirit said in one of the recent channelings is that illumined union is not a special or more sacred path. It's the path of all paths. It's the union of all unions. Okay? And I'm now, because of this intensity, doing also these grid layouts for the cosmic embodiment of the masculine and feminine in their converging process, and what they're doing for illumined union, and how we're feeling that individually as well. So that's also on Patreon. So if you've ever feel the call and that's what moves you, you're welcome to join me and join us. So we are here. We love you as always with so much love, wisdom, and power. Mwah. Big hugs and kisses to everyone. Enjoy where you are. Bye.